So welcome, folks, to episode 3 of What the Fuck VA. I'll introduce my guest here. I have him to introduce himself here in just a minute. But as you know, I'm Albert Winks. I'm the veteran money strategist. And we just started our podcast a couple of weeks ago. Every Friday is like a fireside chat. It does get recorded and sent down to Nashville to be spliced up and everything before we get it posted. So it's not day of. So sorry, we're talking about some of today's news, and that's all we got. That's all we got to go off of, but in our experiences. But just like Tim Pool, I self-promote, and that way I don't have to reach out for sponsor and sponsorship and toe the line with what they want for me. So I get to say what the fuck I want and what the fuck I want to talk about. So I do have several things going on, though, that I want to chat with you guys about. And I'll have Destiny make sure I keep on track and don't forget one or two, because we've got a lot of different campaigns going on now that we are where we are. We're wanting to do a lot more partnerships and things like that. I'll talk more about what I can offer veterans out there, that every veteran is worth millions of dollars. So if you don't know about me, look up my website, thefulfilledveteranproject.com, and learn more about what we're doing and what we've done and who I'm working with, and delivered over $9 billion to my clients. And it's not just about VA money. It's about a lot of other money that you'll get educated on. And let's see, another thing we're working on right now is the podcast itself. And we do this every Friday. Like I said, another version of the podcast is coming up. I'm getting back into flight school. I was a pilot before, getting back into flight school for fixed wing. And so we've got another version of the podcast where it's going to be pilots, mostly veterans, around aircraft, getting into all kinds of shit. So most of us, like, this is not a sponsor, but bourbon stuff or cigar stuff or dogs or horses or whatever. And I'm in Indianapolis, so we're going to have a lot more of me interviewing mostly pilots who are veterans and chatting about their aircraft, their history in aviation, what they're doing now, what they're doing in the future, what they're aiming for, what they're into. Could be bourbon. We're not far from the Bourbon Trail. Pretty quick, easy flight down to Nashville. I'm not saying I would want to fly to Chicago, but pretty easy flight to Chicago if I ever want to do that. If I ever want to do something stupid like that. Other things, we can fly down to Tampa, over to Colorado, stuff like that. So just want to let you know, keep an eye out for that. Another couple of campaigns that we're creating is we've got our apparel coming out. That's going to be on our website. Actually, we're declaring that. It's out on the website. We're just waiting on a tax form from Indiana before we can make sales. Got to have that form from them for sales tax. But just want to let you know we've got hats and shirts and all kinds of other swag to help support us and help support the veterans that we support. So that we help out with their money. We're also looking for partnerships, and this is something that we're really dedicated to this year. Now that we know who we are and what we've done, we're connecting with other companies and agencies out there. So you'll hear me talk to Tim about this, but even just one nonprofit that we're connected to, we had not a formal relationship with them, but they sent me 50 clients, 50 veterans, and this is out of 50,000 that they've got in their Rolodex. So 50 clients or 50 veterans came to me, and I helped them. And let's say every veteran's worth $3 million. Well, that's $160 million that we delivered to just 50 people from one nonprofit. So what a great story for marketing and cross promoting that. So whatever you're into, bourbon.org stuff for veterans or fucking anything else out there. I saw a guy who does seasoning. I love making meats and what do you do, smoking ribs and all that kind of shit. So shaking cocktails, smoking cigars, hanging out with you guys, cussing a lot. Can't help that, right? It's part of it, Tim. But trying to think of something else we got out there. But yeah, we'll talk more about that as we keep going. And as Tim Pool says, to talk about this and so much more, Tim. So, Tim, introduce yourself. What did you do in the military and what are you doing now?
My name's Tim. Obviously, I did 25 years in the Army. Got my job changed a few times. I came in as what they called a 96 Romeo, ground surveillance radar. But that got phased out. I ended up as a 92 Alpha for a little bit, logistics. And then I became a cadre recruiter for 79 Romeo. I did recruiting for a really long time. until an opportunity came up to go work with special forces and move over to a special missions unit. And I retired out of a special missions unit after 4 years with them, and I did 25 total. So my last 6 years were all in SOF, which was really fun. After I retired, I ended up working as an executive for different, defense contractors. I got really sick of that fast, and I decided to do follow my passion, open my own business. I
Nice.
teach Brazilian jiu-jitsu and judo out of Ocean View, in Norfolk, Virginia. So it's called Ocean View Martial Arts. So,
Very cool. Yeah, we're happy to promote
and I do a lot of stuff with
your stuff too.
veterans and kids.
Very cool. Very cool. Appreciate it. And what inspired you to be here with us today?
I saw the thing, about, just like a fireside chat with veterans and stuff, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I'd love to talk about my experiences and things that I've learned, especially as transitioning out from active duty to, civilian life, and just a weird change that is.
Right.
you know,
I
um,
appreciate it.
and just, kind of those things that I've seen. And I got 3 kids; they're all in the army,
Oh
and
wow.
so I get to keep up with current affairs and what's going on. And some days I shake my head, going,
Now,
"Man, maybe I'm glad I'm retired now."
yeah, right.
But
Especially now. And yeah, and you said you've got what, one kid in West Point at least?
yeah, my youngest, he's a what they call a firstie. He's a senior, so he graduates this May and commissions.
Wow. Time flies, doesn't
Oh yeah,
it? Yeah. And your other kiddos are enlisted or
yeah. My oldest daughter is a staff sergeant. She's out in Southern California. She's a recruiter. My younger daughter is a aviation specialist, aviation operations specialist. She's over in Honduras right now.
oh, that's cool. Is she down with
Yeah.
the Medevac unit down there?
No, she's not with it. She's with HHC.
Okay.
Um, so for the main, again, she runs flight ops,
Okay.
and they run her all over the place, like Panama and Guyana and whatnot. So
Yeah. Because you probably saw I started out enlisted in the infantry army and then got out. That was the late 90s, got out in 2000. 9/11 happened. I went back in later when they finally let me in. I tried through an SF direct to 18 X-ray, and they denied me for tattoos, which was not this monster at that point in time. So stupid. And then applied to be a pilot down in out of Houston because I'm from Texas originally, and got the non-select on that. So I was like, "Fuck, man! I'm just gonna keep moving south and go to ROTC," and that's what I did. Great ROTC group out of Corpus Christi, had like 6 classmates and awesome program down there. And it was what I needed at that time to shake off the enlisted and become an officer and it's highly whatever you want to say. I won't say awarded, but I was in top 3% for leadership, and that's why I was selected to be a medevac pilot. So I flew medevac, and if you don't know, a lot of people think that all all pilots in the army are warrant officers. That's not true. And that all pilots are aviation. We're not. So I was medical service corps officer, and so I legally couldn't fly air assault missions. Like the warrants could, they could go do the trade out and go fly, but I couldn't go fly legally air assault missions. So stuff like that. So I flew. That's why you'll hear me say shot at. I was shot at. If you, for folks who know, if the medevac dudes are shooting, there's everybody run. If the medevac dudes are shooting, it's a fucking problem. They should be getting shot at. That's
facts.
what we do best is get shot at. So good shit. So you said you were in a soft unit. So that what qualifications did you have to go through? Did you like I work with a lot of Delta dudes and Green Beret guys and stuff like that, MARSOC. Uh, what since you weren't like let's say a Green Beret, what did you have to do to do the things and be on the be what you did?
Um, I had to get selected. So it was through a selection process. Um, you had to go through got the mental side of it. You had to take IQ tests, personality tests. Of course, the standard APFT. And of course, they wanted to see you score high on it. Trying to think of what else was on there. Several interviews with counterintelligence and the psych. Um, what else did we have to do? I mean, I'm trying to think back to it. We had interviews. We had a technical phase. So they wanted to make sure that, my expertise was where it was and it needed to be with them. And then you have a board where there's I think the lowest ranking guy on there was an E8. The rest of them were all either E9s or warrants or full, or other officers. I couldn't tell. They were wearing sterols. Um, but again, I mean, really hard questions, straightforward. I think that was the hardest part. All the physical side of it and the mental tests. That was easy. I had just got done. Like that unit prior to applying to them. I was already working I was the station commander for the Special Operations Recruiting Battalion. So my whole job was to get guys ready for the SFAS,
Yeah.
and I was in great shape. So the physical aspect of it was easy. I could rock, I can climb, I could do obstacle courses, all that stuff all day long. The hardest part though is definitely the board, because they ask you very pointed questions about your life and your career, and you have to be honest. There's no fudging, there's no telling them what they want to hear. You
Yeah.
have to tell them the truth, and because that unit, they do not tolerate anything outside of just being honest and who you are, because it's not just about you know, do you meet the requirements? Are you a fit? And the fit goes both ways. Are they a fit for you, and are you a fit for them? And that's a big thing. And they tell you, look, selection is every day. Even after you get picked up and you make it through, whatever training we had to go through prior to even, being in our seat, selection's still every day. So
I like that line of selection is every day because it's true. It really is true that the two words that I talk about the most are trust and performance. So, money makes the world go round, sure, but trust and performance. So if I can't trust you and you're not fucking performing, or vice versa, if I'm not performing, then let me know. But but yeah, those are two great words that I just keep leaning on all the time.
oh yeah, they say all the time, selection's an ongoing process, and they meant it. It is an ongoing process. You need to always be on it every day. you know
And when did you get out?
I retired in February 2022 or 2020.
Okay. Would you retire as?
I was an E7.
Okay, gotcha. Man, it's a weird time to fucking retire, right? 2020. Jeez.
Yeah, I retired right before the whole COVID nonsense, and so once I was retired, I was working for a company out in DC called Artland, and I was in charge of their recruiting process for people at the Pentagon and stuff like that, and other contracts that they had out at Belvoir and things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was out at
And then they said, "Go work from home."
oh, that's yeah. Oh no, twist my arm. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, fine, I'll do it.
I know at the time I was living in Jamestown, which is like 3 hours south of DC area, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll go home.
Hmm. Yeah, I've only been to DC once for oh god, what's the big December event out there? What am I thinking of?
In December?
Yeah, December. I only went to it once because I usually I go to soft events like I'll go to used to be called Soft Week, now it's called Soft Week. So I'll be there this year in Tampa. And I do other aviation stuff since I'm in Indianapolis. It's pretty easy to jump down to Nashville for Quad A. But this year, Quad A which is Army Aviation Association of America. And this is the year that they're going to Denver. So I'm going to skip this one. And they'll have, I went to another soft event it's in Destin, Fort Walton Beach. That was it's happening like this week or something like that. But I'm not going down to that one. I went there last year. So,
Oh wow.
anyway, but yeah, in 2022, like every month I was at something big somewhere. So on average every month. So and there was something in DC but yeah, it's big out there. It used to be written down on my wall over here, but I changed out my calendar, big calendar. But yeah, DC's interesting. I was staying over across the river in Virginia, right? Is it Arlington? Yeah, Arlington,
Yeah,
Virginia. It's been a while since
Arlington's right. Yeah.
that's where I stayed. Pretty nice little short trip on the train and walk a little bit. But yeah, they had a good little steakhouse over there, though. I got to go to
A
that.
lot of good food up there.
Yeah, food. You're definitely not out of food Yeah, that's insane. So, but so you talked about your transition. I'm curious to know from your perspective what your transition was like, and just to help others out there too of maybe some what not to do kind of stuff.
Like the biggest thing for me was it was kind of a significant emotional event. At the same time as I was retiring, my son was leaving to go to West Point. So like the two biggest things that defined me, right, being a soldier and being a father, were both, they were changing.
Hmm.
So it was like, man, what do I do? I feel like, you ever watch that movie Talladega Nights? And Ricky Bobby goes, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Here's,
anyhow,
here's our
that
interview
was
from
me.
12
Like, I didn't know what to do with
minutes.
myself.
Yeah, we're gonna do
I
good. We're
honestly
gonna do
didn't know
good.
what to do with myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I
Yeah,
didn't
there
know
was
what I didn't know where to go with it.
a ranger that I interviewed. He said PTSD is once you get out and you realize you're never going to be the cool guy again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was another thing. It was like, one, I didn't know what to do with myself, so I immediately threw myself into some work, and I did a little too good of a job, worked myself out of a job. Like I worked for a company like maybe 9 months before. There was nothing left for me to do but wait for business development to find new roles, and because everything else was full. And I was like, oh, I did my job. Now I'm bored, and I'm working from home and just not happy. But it was weird to just, to go through that. At the same time, the process of, you decompress. And I think that's the thing that people don't realize is, like when I'm mission focused, I was mission focused. I wasn't thinking about my health. I wasn't thinking about my mental health, anything like that. And my unit was great. I mean, they gave me a chance to go up to Fort Belvoir and spend a couple weeks at the TBI clinic, which was like a huge help. But it was like one of those things where it's almost like too little, too late. And once you start to not be mission focused and not be just completely switched on all the time, you start to realize where all these bumps and bruises and the mental wear and tear that you just kind of just I don't know how other guys deal with it, but I know for me, I just kind of put it all in a box. It's like I'm just gonna put this in the box for now, focus on the mission and do what I got to do, and keep moving forward. And now that it's over, that box is kind of spilling over.
Yeah.
And when you realize, like, when I was retiring, the VA calls me and is like, all right, so we got your rating. And I was expecting to be like 70, 80%. Like, you're 100%. I'm like, oh
Hmm.
crap.
Yeah.
And the longer I've been out, the more I see the wear and tear it did on my body, where I've put everybody, or not everybody, I put everything else before me, you know. So
And that's
one of
common.
the things.
I mean, I've got all kinds of fighter pilots and 05s, 06s, and Green Berets and 160th and MARSOC, like I said, and they say the same thing too. Like, hey, I, I put myself on the back burner. So thankfully, let's say those guys are in their 30s, 40s, and beyond, and they're like, hey, tell your younger guys who are in their 20s and 30s, be selfish, be selfish, take care of
Mhm.
yourself, because then you can look back. Like, I'll give you an example. Here recently, one of my clients, he's 65. On his 65th birthday, just about a week or two ago, he received about $25,000 worth of back pay from the VA that I'd helped secure for him. And he called me and talked to me about it, and he said, "Holy shit, man! Albert, appreciate what you're doing. I'm a big advocate of yours. Let's keep moving forwards on me and others and all that kind of stuff." And he said, "But one thing I won't do is mental math of what I left on the table for those decades, because the unfortunate reality with the VA and government, but VA is guilty of it too, is those two things that you can't get back from the government: your time and your fucking money." So, like me, I was very
Mhm.
similar to Tim, where I got out. Thankfully, I had a mentor who helped me at least do as much as he knew, which is not great, but at least it's better than good, I'll say. And so when I got my rating, I thought I was going to get like between 30 and 70. I got 90, and I didn't know what 90% meant. And 5 years goes by, and very similar to Tim's point that 5 years adds up when you're going from like 30 to 35. And then you're like, oh man, I'm feeling this shit more. And I went to the VA hospital that that's here in Indianapolis, and very rarely do you go to the same doctor for much. But this is my ongoing doc, and I told him, I was like, man, I want to file a claim. That's why I'm here today. My boo boos are getting worse, and I'm getting older and feeling my body. And he just looks me dead in the eye, and he's like, yeah, we don't do that. My white coat in the VA hospital goes, we as the VA hospital don't do claims. We do healthcare. Well, I don't even want to say that they do healthcare, but anyway, those are his words. Healthcare versus claim. So
Yeah.
he says, well, go talk to, VSOs, American Legion, DAV. He tells me to, in essence, scat. That's what I tell my kids. My word for get the fuck out of here is scat. So he told me
Yeah.
to scat. Get the fuck out of my office. You're eating up my time. And yeah, so I come to find out. So basic family of four, when you go from 90 to 100, it's a $1,500 a month raise from 90 to
Mhm.
100. So for anybody out there who's going, well, I or a buddy or a veteran, somebody at work or any kind of teammate, classmate, whatever, neighbor is happy at 50 or happy at 70. Like they say, ignorance is bliss. And I'm happy to prove it. And I'll bring the receipts that when you go from 90 to 100, it's a $1,500 a month raise. And that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. That, and I'm a veteran money strategist, not just VA, so don't get confused. So once you get through the gate that is VA, so once you're 100% like Tim and I, there's other doors of dollars, state level stuff, and other things like kids' college money, things like this. So Tim's in Virginia and I'm in Indiana. So Tim, I think once you get to 100%, you get a complete removal of property taxes, right, in Virginia?
For one property and one vehicle.
Yeah. And then here in Indiana, it's a reduction, but I only pay like $4,000 a year in property taxes. But just for example, Texas, California, Florida, even Nebraska, those folks are spending $1,000 a month in property taxes on average. And when they go get to 100%, they pay zero property taxes. So
Yeah.
imagine saving. This is where the big bucks kick in. So when people say benefits, they don't know that that means big fucking money. So the VA dumbs words down sometimes, or government dumbs words down sometimes to make you think that it's less impactful. Like, Tim, what did we go to? Combat, war.
Mhm.
We didn't deploy. We went to combat, right? But the government says, "Oh, you deployed. How many times you deployed?" Like, it's fucking bullshit. Tim and I know better. So I'm telling you that I know better. That when the VA or government says benefits, I say big fucking money. So you having $1,000 a month saving for a 40-year average lifespan of a GWA era veteran is a $500,000. That's a $500,000 fucking dollars of yours in your fucking pocket. And guess what? It was yours the whole fucking time. Isn't that
Mhm.
gross? So uh, there's other doors of dollars. So Tim and I both have kids that are heading into college and in college. And so, I mean, there's chapter 35, which is when well, one thing is there's state level. So, state level is like here in Indiana, all my kids, I've got 5 kids. So, all my kids are going to go to college tuition and fee free here in Indiana. That's a holy fuck. That's a holy fuck amount of money, especially these days. And also, chapter 35, which is federal, where when my kids are in college, I'll receive a stipend of today's dollars, $1,400 a month per kid per month, as long as they're going full time. Not sure how's that work for. Are you receiving Chapter 35 for your kiddo being in West Point?
No.
Do you know about it?
I didn't know, but I didn't think that I got anything for him while he's at West Point because he's considered active duty.
Because it's still school. I mean, I agree that
It's
it's
still
still under a
school, but
contract. Like Army
he still
contract
gets
for
an active duty he still gets a contract and ID card and benefits, TRICARE, the whole nine yards. So
because here's what's crazy. Another one of my clients found that out that like, oh, my kid isn't. This happens a lot because my clients are in their 40s and 50s, and they go, oh shit. Once they get to 100% through working with me, then they qualify for that Chapter 35. And that is one that the government does back pay on. So one of the biggest financial boo-boos that my clients or the veterans have is that they don't have their family members depicted correctly on e-benefits. When you're in service, it's DEERS or whatever. It may have changed titles now, but out of uniform, it's the VA.
mm,
And again, I have 5 kids, blended family. So it doesn't matter if it's your kid or a step kid or that kind of stuff, or if you've got a kid in another state with a divorced mom or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's still your kid. Doesn't matter. Taxes, different. VA, it's your fucking kid. And so when your kid is in college, even I've not heard of a West Pointer, or I've got West Pointers, Naval Academy, etc., Coast Guard Academy, all that kind of stuff. I've not heard. That's why I was asking Tim that direct question of if he's receiving if you're receiving that Chapter 35. You're 100% or permanent total.
100% permanent in total.
Okay, so permanent total, you just probably didn't apply for it. And so what you could do is just reach out to the VA and say, hey, I mean, you can look it up on online too. It's super, super weird because it's so simple, but you can like Google Chapter 35, and the VA currently calls it DEA, like disability education assistance or something like that. But yeah, look it up and keep me posted on that, because how nice would it be to get $1,400 a month back pay for your kid who's in West Point over now in their senior year, right?
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Holy crap. I'm going to look up that as soon as we get off this podcast.
You're already looking.
I'm like, Chapter 35. Let me find out more.
Yeah, let me get that. What? Yeah, Chapter 35. That's all it is. We'll keep talking about that as we keep chatting. But isn't that crazy? Like, so that's the reason why, honestly, I've got that big check over my shoulder. This is the check that Tim earned. It's the check that I earned, but I earned my check. Tim earned his check. You earned your check. Your neighbor earned their check. And the government hides it from people. And I don't call it funny. It's funny and sad. It's disgusting to a certain degree, but it's funny when I get to chat with people like Tim, and you guys turn into Papa Bear and then Mama Bears and stuff like that. Like, I interviewed a woman who, as sweet as can be, mother of 8, and was a Medevac pilot in the early part of the Iraq War. And she's a sweetheart now, a millionaire, owns a company doing contracts with the government. And her husband's 100% permit total. She is not. She was like at 30 or 50 or something like that. But I told her about the money that she had earned. And just in typical Mama Bear fashion, she said fuck so many times. What the fucking fuck? I went through all this fucking shit and went through fucking fuck. And then now I gotta find out that I got my fucking kids on fucking fuck. And yeah, yep. There's your check. Let's get to it. So it's all kinds of money.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm grateful that I had people in my old unit that, they were like, hey, go claim everything under the sun when you get out, or when you're getting out, because people don't realize that if you, do your claims prior to leaving active duty, that they have to give you a rating prior to your last day. And
yeah,
I went in and, I know a lot of guys that they just claim one thing, and they try to be too proud. And people I worked with were like, nah, man, claim it. Do you take Zyrtec? Okay, cool. Put that on there.
yeah.
You
And
have hearing
they'll come
loss?
back to
Okay,
me.
put that. Do you have reading?
It is, man. Pain and time, ultimate fucking teachers. And like, I don't sell people. I just tell them. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm not trying to create pain for you. And like, I even told a guy today who is in his early 60s, but I said, and especially since he's a nurse, I told him, I said, get medical out of your head, get healthcare out of your head. It's not about HIPAA secure things like I had knee surgery. It's what, like Tim said, was your left knee with you in service? Yeah, that's a claim. That's claimable. The government knows. Why do I know that? Because the government has a fucking list of them. They don't go, I mean, like, you can try claiming shin splints, you can try claiming your pinky nail, but the VA is not going to really go with that. They'll go, okay, you put your pinky finger on there because it hurts you so bad, but the VA is going to still go non-service connected or fucking 0% because the VA is not going to pay you money. My job is to find out where your money is. Your left knee, your right knee, your left shoulder, your sinuses, those were all with you and in your service. So a lot of veterans try to overthink it or believe all the bullshit of, well, I don't want to take out of Tim's pile. You can't take out of Tim's. Have you ever heard of that fucking happening? Just prove, show me the fucking receipts, because I tell my clients all the time. I've got over 3,000 clients, Tim. I know you don't know me. I've got over 3,000 clients, and I've delivered over $9 billion to my clients. If all of them are worth $3 million at a minimum, so probably upwards of probably 15 billion at this point. So sad reality is veterans believe the bullshit you're fucking fed from the government. And we veterans, like Tim said, are proud, humble, and I hear you. I support that. Even one of my staffers, we were talking today, Dylan, because he's a veteran too, and he just sees things differently. If I had a shirt that said 100% earned, I would wear that fucking shirt because Tim, you 100% earned. You earned that 100% of everything that you get receive, whether it's that fucking check or the ability to have your kid in West Point. You fucking earned it. Fair statement. You're a man in
Oh,
America. That's what it's Constitution. Pursuit of happiness doesn't guarantee happiness, but you earn that motherfucking check. But Dylan, he just got out of the service and he's still got a different mentality, and that's fine. I don't need you to agree with me and wear my fucking shirt, but I'm here to put your money in your pocket, and that's what I do. That check is yours. You should receive this when you walk out the door, but you don't. The government hides it and puts it into, and I call it the rotisserie of fuckery. So Tim goes through one experience, but then the next day he's talking to a buddy, and that buddy's going through a completely different experience. And then this guy is scared because, let's say Tim's going, hey man, I'm 100%. You should be better than 10. And this guy goes, well, I'm scared, man, because I don't know. I don't know. So that's one of my clients. You guys see me all the time. I'm out in front of you people all the time. And the one word that my clients never are is alone. You'll be frustrated, betrayed by the government. They're going to tell you a lot of things you're not going to want to know. But like I tell all my clients, I'm not here to unfuck any system. I'm here to get your money in your pocket. And that's through claims. Your left knee was with you. You've earned state level this. You've earned from, I know we didn't talk about this, but Tim, let's say you had like me, I had $180,000 of student loans due to a bachelor's degree and two uh, master's degrees. Nobody gives a shit about that. Who cares? But when you get 100%, your 100% PNT, Department of Education wipes all your student loans out because you fucking earned it. That's how it is. Tim, let me ask you this.
yeah.
You receive, like I receive $428 more a month. And that's due to my mental health being at 100%, due to titles, by the way, no restrictions. And I actually take people off unemployable. So if you're out there going, oh, wait, it sounds like we're going down an unemployable route. Nope. I'm working with another woman as of last week who's a new client of mine that I'm helping remove from unemployable because that's horrible. It's a financial death sentence from the government, and I'm in the freedom business. I'm here to give you that freedom. Make sure you maintain that freedom. So just want to let you know. But yeah, so I'm 100% on mental health alone, and if your physical math is 60 and above in just human math points, so like 10 10 sixes or what? I'm sorry, 6 10s or um, two 40s or whatever, then I received $428 more a month, and I just received that here recently. I had to file a separate claim for it, got approved for it, and now receive 428 more dollars a month. I get paid. I'm not going to ask you to tell us money unless you want to, but I get paid. This is how I work. I go off of what the VA does. That was my point too. Albert doesn't know whatever. I look at not your bank account, but you tell me your bank account. Hey, I received this. Well, what's that? Well, I've got me, my wife, 5 kids. I'm in this state, whatever. So that's what I do is I backwards plan from what money that you got in your account. So I get paid $5,000 right at 5,000 a month, and that is for me and my family. But I also get paid. I'm not retired, by the way. So 43 net retired. You retired guys qualify for $2,000 more a month, called CRSC, combat related special compensation. Tim, do you receive that?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. So even though these units are good at what they do, like there's many soft units that have like dare I say, a pre get out claim specialist. They're doing the best they can with what they got, but what they've got is not all the things that I've got. That's why I'm the best in the world at what I do. So
Yeah, like we had a nurse that she's like a resource specialist,
mhm.
and she gave me a bunch of stuff to get ready, and then they sent me to a clinic over at DevGru, um, and they had a VA specialist that worked at their clinic. And she was the one that put my claim together. I mean, she went through every single thing in my medical file and my physicals and everything. And she was like, nope, we're going to put everything in there. And she knew exactly how to write it up and do the whole bit. I was very grateful for that because I would have screwed it up. I feel bad for the guys who don't have the access to those kind of resources, like I did. But heck, I didn't know there was an additional compensation that I could get. I mean, I don't know what the requirements are for it because
I know.
I'm 100% due to
There are
like
ways.
multiple physical things.
Yeah. So you
I've got
guys,
some mental health. I mean, definitely got mental health stuff, but
yeah. So the VA is screwing a lot of special operators out of this. That even today, I've talked to one of my clients that the VA is messing with him right now, but they left him at 70% on mental health. And I said, well, here's the deal. Here's why they did that. I said, if or when you get to 100% like me on mental health, and you got above 60 on your human math on physical side, that you'll receive automatically about $500 more a month.
hmm.
For every 10 months, add a zero. That's $5,000 every 10 months that has been yours the entire fucking time. Same thing
You
with
have to be
CRS.
100% for mental health.
100% for mental health and above 60. So with my clients, so look at it this way. My clients, by the time I'm done with them, at least these 5 things happen. That their e-benefits says 100% at the top, permanent and total like me. Body part list reflects them more as a human. That their math adds up to 500 or more human points, so that their base pay, as I call it, is based off of 100% permanent and total. And that's it. There's three levels of money to think about. There's right now money, mid-range money for your kids in college. There's long-term death benefit money that I get my clients squared away with. And my goal is with my clients, although you get me for life as a client, as a consultant to you, that I want to make sure that you get as much of your money in your pocket within the first 2 years of us working together. The only reason why it takes 2 years is because the government slowed down right after COVID. So that's why all my clients go, oh my God,
Well,
life changing. Wish I would have known you sooner. Okay.
I don't know if I qualify for that though because I don't have 100% on the mental health.
Well, here's the thing. You qualify, everybody qualifies. You just have to do the paperwork. So I can show you how to do the paperwork and get you squared away there. And it's through evidence. The VA requires fresh medical evidence. So that's what I do everything compliantly based off what the VA requires. And just same thing with Social Security or IRS or any other state or federal level entity. It's all about it's evidence. And what's evidence? It's what the government requires to be approved. Right. So like I call them I'll use an airport analogy. When you go to the airport, you have to show your checkpoints, right? So you have to show your ID at this checkpoint to get the ticket. You have to show this ID at this and your ticket to get through security. You have to take jacket off and hat off and shoes off because somebody did something dumb 20 plus years ago. Same thing with the VA. There's different little checkpoints to make sure you're not committing fraud because people have defrauded the government. And that's fine. I mean, that's fine for them. But now we have checkpoints that the VA puts up there without telling you, like, did you see the doctor in person? Yes. Okay. Come on through. Did you see the doctor in person? No. Come over here. Answer a few more questions. Sounds like you may be committing fraud. See what I'm saying? Which is fine. The government can put up check marks, checkpoints, but they are checkpoints. But we need to make sure we're having a compliant response, and that gate opens up. Saw the doctor in person. Okay, keep moving forward. So that's why with us and special operators, what's that line? Keep moving forwards, right?
Yeah.
Keep moving forwards. So those folks who say, oh, I'm happy at 70, 90, 100 permanent total, ignorance is bliss. A lot more money. So like I receive $5,000 a month. Tim should receive about $7,000 a month. And that's without other additional, let's say, retirements.
Yeah.
So if you're not receiving that, talk to me. Not talking to me here. Get on my account.
I got you.
And there are way too many veterans out there that are not getting on my calendar. So this is the time to be selfish.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one thing we were talking about. As far as like what would you tell other veterans? And man, when you get out, it's time to be selfish.
Yeah.
Because that's we've been selfless for too long and probably to our own detriment. So
And
being
honestly, I
selfish
put
is
you saying that
difficult.
because here's why I created this podcast. Because I've been doing this 5 years. And when you get all the way up to SEAL Team 6 and Delta dudes as your clients, yeah, I peed a little. But like I work with the best and deadliest. I go down to where they are to Tampa and stuff like that. So like if they were upset with me, they would fucking kill me. So um, I'm here to say that there are way too many veterans out there not being paid the big check money that you've earned and without restriction to your life. So all the fear campaign, when this is the best past calendar year to go, is the government fucking me? You could watch anything. You could watch anything out there. And whether it's anybody at a senior cabinet level, like the VA chiefs or the fucking what else you got, the Department of Education, anybody testifying in front of Congress, and most of us veterans, especially the people I like working with, are professional. And when you look at them going, some dumb shit. You mean that motherfucker's in charge of my money? And like the government takes your money from you. I left $65,000 on the table because I was for 5 years at 90%, and I can't get that money back. I can't. At least the IRS will give you your fucking money back if you say, "Hey, I overpaid in taxes for whatever 10-year period." I'm no CPA, but like at least there's a window of hope. But with the VA goes, "Nope, your year's up. You're fucked." That's gross. That's disgusting.
Yeah,
If the VA or any other government agency wanted to help you, they would fucking help you. Look in your bank account. Do you have $5,000 a month? I do because I fucking earned it. So did you. So that's what you need to do. Is if they wanted to help you, they would. So don't give me bullshit and don't lean on yourself. And ho hum, I'm gonna take out Tim's pile. You can't. It's not built that way. There's just too many.
no,
That's why we're talking about these things as opposed to we'll talk about some current events, but like we're not talking about war stories. You want to get on somebody else's podcast, talk about war stories. There's plenty of war stories out there. But I do want context to like, hey, these are badasses who are getting fucked right now. I've got a Green Beret who, when I briefed him up on mental health, he was a retired Green Beret, and he was one of my first Green Beret clients. And he said, "Albert, appreciate you. Uh, I'm at 30% for mental health, and after your briefing, I understand that I knew Uncle Sam was fucking me. I just didn't know he was dry fucking me." So, the typical Green Beret fashion. But yeah, the government is fucking you out of your money, and then they're throwing it out over some country that you don't want it going to, and taking away from the future of your kitchen table.
yeah, definitely.
You know what I
I
mean?
tell
Like,
people all the time, don't be too proud. Don't be afraid to, you know, put your hand. I mean, you earned it, like you said.
yeah,
I mean, I tell my therapist all the time, like, there's days where I wish I had my health rather than the money. I mean, just being real, like there's days where like the amount of money they pay me isn't enough for what I gave up. Like now that I live with it and I don't have that mission focused mentality where I can push it down, it's like, it's rough, I would rather have my health than the money. I mean, but if don't
let's
be shy because that you
let's
earned
take
it,
that into
you
like
might as well get every penny,
yeah.
collect every damn penny.
Well,
Because
let's push that into the now and the future conversation here of like, so for example, when I was in junior high, and so I'm a 1980s kid, so I'm 43. I was born 1980. How old are you?
I'm
46. Yeah.
46.
Yeah. So we grew up pretty similar to where like in junior high or high school, you could go, what's 10 years from now going to look like? And you may not have fully known, but at least you had something that would give you 10 years of, let's say, hope. It was more of a hopeful conversation. Now it's more of like, fuck, man, I don't even know what 5 months from now it's going to look like, especially with the political season that we're in right now, all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk about the Texas border. I haven't heard much follow up, and I didn't check. I usually watch like Dan Bongino every day for some follow up on the Texas border and stuff. But like, I mean, we left $85 billion worth of our shit in Afghanistan in the worst, dare I say, retreat ever. We shouldn't have been there in the first place. That's a whole other fucking podcast. But like, you know what I
Right.
mean? but
Yeah.
like, hey, we are where we are. We were lied to over and over and over again. And I think guys like us who've seen combat one on one, we don't want it here. We don't want it in the U.S. We don't want it at the southern northern border or flown in on some kind of balloon from China. We don't want that here. But us conservatives and whatever badasses, we'll get amazingly violent to keep the people out. You know what I mean? So like we don't want it, but we're damn sure ready for it. And we know overwhelming force. Close with and destroy the enemy. We will. We will and we do. That's the point. We have for 20 fucking years. Like if they had pulled this shit before 9/11, you probably had a weakened military. Like
Mhm.
when I'm pretty sure when Tim and I went through basic and stuff in the 90s, I mean, we didn't have if somebody had was bleeding out, you took a stick, right? You remember this shit from basic? You take a stick. They're like, hey, the manual said, look around
Twist
and
it.
find the stick. Take your cloth, grab your clothy thingy. What they call it, a
Your
swab,
pressure
right?
dressing.
Yeah, your pressure dressing. So you didn't have a fucking pressure. You had a fucking cloth. You had this triangular swab thingy, and you're like, hey, twist it around, find a stick. And then we end up going to fucking Iraq where there's no sticks. So but but like I was only in Iraq for a couple of days over heading to Afghanistan, so I don't know a whole lot. But but God, man, that would have been if they wanted to fuck with us, that's when they should have fucked with us. Like we were still strong, but we were the weakest that we'd ever been. Let's call it late '90s when I joined the army. Now, like I flew in an airplane yesterday that although it's a 40-year-old airplane, it's got glass cockpit in it. I never flew with a fucking glass cockpit as a pilot. I had the old 83 model, 83, 84 model Blackhawks and all that shit. So watching pressure gauges and shit like that. Like I'm old school. So it's shocking what we can do now and how fast we can shoot, move, and fucking communicate. And that's why we're doing what we're doing right now too, is on video, being able to say, hey man, other brothers and sisters out there around the globe that are our people, you're not alone. And like Tim said, he's felt alone. Now he knows he's not alone. So like I, I don't know. What's 5 years, 5 months gonna look like from Tim's standpoint? What do you think, Tim?
I have no idea. Right now, all I know is that with the political state of things is just insane. It's going to turn. I mean, it's already. I already see the propaganda machine going out against Donald Trump,
Mm.
um, and just that suddenly they're trying to prop up Biden like he's vibrant, and he's not. So I don't know. I mean, it just looks ugly. Like right now, politics. Like I know a few people that were in politics and understanding what had happened, the way things are. I mean, a good example, Tulsi Gabbard was on Joe Rogan,
Mhm.
and she said she remembers that freshman orientation for freshman congressmen. They took them aside, separated them by party, and said, "Listen, we don't vote for their bills, even if we agree with it,
Mhm.
because we don't want to give them any wins." And that's what it's turned into: is who wins what. And it's not even about what's best for the American people. It's damn sure not what's best for veterans, because I laugh every time somebody says something about, well, every American deserves free healthcare. You want to see free healthcare? Go to the VA. That's what a government free healthcare looks like.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. I know veterans who have died waiting for their help, or they just give them so many pills, it's ridiculous. I'm grateful to still have TRICARE and be able to go to a regular clinic and just, hopefully get some treatment and not just get pills, you know. But I mean, our political landscape is so devoid of, actually for the people. It's, for who lines their pockets, and who could make the biggest political splash. Like, you have to keep looking at that. Like, what's the truth anymore? You don't even know. It's one of those things where it's like, maybe I don't even want to vote for Trump because, all they're going to do is do everything they can to stop him from doing anything worthwhile. Voting for the left side of the aisle is just as worthless Maybe somebody like RFK, might be good because I think he's running as an independent now. But I see that everybody does their thing to try to keep him quiet. Like you don't hear him mentioned. All you hear is Biden and Trump. You don't hear anything about RFK.
It's like when you're
So
talking about Tulsi, last time they didn't have her on the panel or whatever, and somebody said, "Well, we don't have any women." She's kind of like, "Hi."
I know, right? But they say like
Sucks.
women of color or whatever, and I'm like, that is a well-spoken, woman of color that that gets both sides of the, she gets the moderates and everybody. I mean, I don't even understand.
Well, like
You
somebody was
know,
talking about Bernie Sanders the other day of like, holy fuck, man! At the last political term, we thought, okay, Bernie Sanders had a lot of momentum, all the Bernie Bros, all that kind of stuff, and uh, and then all of a sudden the DNC said, "Nope, Bernie, here's your money. Shut the fuck up, sit down," and he just chewed it up. He just chewed
yeah,
it up. So, and how do they not see this shit? Like, there's somebody showed this here recently in the past couple of days, so we haven't talked about it before, but it showed like what presidents were worth going into the White House and what they were worth coming out. And it started like with Reagan and Carter.
yeah. The only one to lose money was Trump.
Yeah. And I mean, so other guys had like a pretty significant jump for the most part. But the crazy one was Bill Clinton. He went from like maybe 4 million up to like
400
200
million.
something million. I mean, insane. I couldn't even do the mental math of how much of a percentage jump that is. But how do you, in even a 8 year period, go from, well, I was making 4 million, now I'm worth 200 something, 80 million or whatever? That's grotesque. And it just, wait. So that's why I have this podcast too. Is not just to go, okay, bit session. It's like, hey, let's take this negative and swing it to a positive. How can we affect change? I like that veterans are getting more involved in politics. I think a lot of us veterans, especially combat guys, are people who have seen combat and don't want it on our shores. But what we did was we fought overseas to think that we were keeping it from our shores. Fair statement, right? And for the most part of us. And then you get back and then you go, well, now I'm going to just kind of cruise and drive my taxi. And then you realize, wait a minute, I fought what I thought was a thing to keep war off of our shores. And now it wasn't a thing in the first fucking place. And now there's war at our fucking shores and in our fucking bank accounts and cyber and all these different. Like, is somebody going to jump in and like attack us from the east or west in boats? They
Probably
better,
not.
you know what I mean? They better hope not. We are way, way too fucking armed for that. However, they're gonna do this fucking cyber shit and attack the children from reading centers and hey, marry your boy on boy, marry them so you don't have kids, and that way you're gonna control population, that kind of thing. So like the war has already started, and it wasn't started from veterans. It wasn't
Yeah.
started with service members. So how do we split up? Like I'm from Texas originally, although not born there. And if you ever saw the map of like the U.S. where it says Texas and not Texas, so
Yeah.
uh, where do we go from here? Do we need like a civil war, people fucking stabbing each other in the neck, or can we? Do you think we could maybe break up the lower 48 and turn into California stand and and Virginia stand or whatever, you know what I mean? So how do we do that? What do we do?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think civil war is going to happen. I mean, it's an election year, and people still want to keep the status quo. Just like how many times has Biden given Abbott deadlines, and Abbott just given the middle finger?
Yeah.
What's he going to do? He can't. Anything he does is going to be a bad optic, no,
Yeah.
no matter
Inequities.
what he does. And he has to take what's going to be less, which is just going to be all right. We're going to do something at the border. But he's going to have to concede
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, Greg Abbott put him on the spotlight and said, "Oh, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stop. We're going to protect our border. You ain't got a choice. Since you're not going to, we're going to." And I think, I mean, what's he going to do? Federalize the National Guard? Like that just looks bad. I mean, that's just a really bad look. And then nobody wants to see a civil war. I don't think that's something. That's one of those things where I don't want to be. I don't want to see that. And that'd be horrible.
Mhm.
Um, that's not a good look. I just hope that maybe more veterans run for Congress.
Mhm.
I think that's part of the problem though is that we're all scattered, and it's kind of hard to put a focused. I mean, there's a lot of us, but we're not like all in locations. Like I thought about it once. I thought, man, maybe I should run, for political, run for my district here, just to see. And for one, Republicans don't win here, and two, even if I ran as a Democrat, I'm I don't appeal to the demographic.
Mhm.
I'm Hispanic, but I look white, and it's just I'm not going to get a vote, you know,
Mhm.
and that's the unfortunate truth of it. But I would love to be up there because my whole goal in life would be to get up there and talk about term limits and talk about not being able to invest in the stock market as a Congress member. Those are things that I think are important, and I think they just I mean when you talk to members of Congress about it, like what do you think about term limits? They will tap dance around that like crazy because they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They want to stay where they can be and make money. I
I
mean,
think
that's
that's
what
the
it's turned
unfortunate
into.
reality of now is that you got to slay this dragon that exists now. And I think you're right that I think if the country went into civil war, that's not right for the average person, right? That's going to be on everybody's home front is some kind of fight, and that's not good. That 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 only it wouldn't happen probably at the high level houses of the people who are pulling the strings, the Soroses and all that kind of crap, Nancy Pelosi's, whatever. It's not going to happen at their door, but they're the ones who are pulling the fucking strings, right? So, how the dragon that needs to be slain to me is, yeah, like you said, not the daily average person fighting your neighbor, civil war. That's fucking stupid. But we as the few that did swear an oath to the Constitution, not just us, but like sheriff's department and stuff like that, need to do something to because our government has legit been fucking overthrown. It's not doing what it was designed to do. Right? It was slowly taken over. It was
Mhm,
whatever you want to call it, inside job or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Where all of a sudden you turn back and go, oh shit, it changed. Right? It's like a glacier. It's always moving, but you don't notice it until a big change just starts crashing down on you. And that's where we are. You got politicians up on the hill who are senior leaders who testify in front of Congress and say the stupidest fucking shit. And I don't watch all of the things, but I've got enough knowledge to know that, well, that dude's a fucking idiot. And that doesn't sound right at all. And this is not what it like. Just keep it simple. Like if the U.S. is supposed to be this, is it this? No, it's not. It's supposed to be free,
mhm,
pursuit of happiness, all that kind of stuff. There's plenty of abundance out there. There's plenty of money out there. So everybody should have their checks. It shouldn't just be somebody's super rich and got 19 yachts. And Tim and I are going, what the fuck, man? Where's mine? So everybody should have abundance, and we're not all in this. There's a line that they say you're all in the same. You're on. Oh, we're on the same boat. No, we're not on the same boat. We're on the same
yeah,
storm. We're now in a global storm, but just some people have yachts, and some people have little bitty dinghies, and some people are just out there floating on a fucking piece of wood. So
mhm,
how? But we can. There's enough abundance to help everybody without, let's say, stealing from the rich and they need to pay their fair share of taxes. Bullshit. That's all fucking talking points that nobody. It's fucking stupid.
yeah.
But
All that pay your fair share. I mean, they put Bernie Sanders on the spot, and he couldn't answer. Because now he's a millionaire. You notice his speech has changed from millionaires and billionaires to just billionaires because he falls
yeah,
into that millionaire category. And they asked him, "What did you pay in taxes? Did you pay extra? Did you pay what you consider your fair share?" And all his answer was, "Well, I paid what I was supposed to pay."
right.
No, but do you believe that was your fair share? Because you can always give more. And he just went back to, no, I paid what I was supposed to pay. Like, yeah, okay. Well,
It's stupid.
even the people who talk the best talk don't always, live that life. I mean, you can find fault with a lot of different members of, Congress or the government where they started off one way and then slowly over time they've, become accustomed to the swamp. So, I was a big fan of that guy that was running for president, at least some of his ideas, Vivek. where he was talking about if he was elected, he would fire like 50% of the bureaucrats that are
Mm.
unnecessary. And I'm like, there are so many of those. That would
Yeah.
be a great freaking thing because I know so many people that were just in my military career. You go to a housing office and there's some lady there who doesn't do anything. Just there to be annoying to you. You go to the VA and there's people there that are just like, what is your purpose here other than to piss off veterans? I saw a guy in there. He looked like something drawn out of a comic book. He was muscles on top of muscles.
Hmm.
He was an older gentleman, former Marine. He had gray in his beard, and he was getting frustrated because he had an appointment, and the appointment hadn't, was way past.
Mm.
And the lady at the counter was just being a real bitch to him, just going off, and like being really, I mean, like really, really rude. Finally, that guy had enough, and then you could see the veins coming out of him, and he was like, and he said, like, I need to see Dr. So and so right now. And he started cursing and everything else. She called security, and the security guy is this little fat middle-aged man who looked like, oh God, what am I gonna do against this guy? And he goes, I don't give a damn that you brought this guy here. I used to murder people for a living, right? And I was like, oh God, it's getting real.
Yeah.
Um, the doctor finally came out when he heard the ruckus, and he was like, oh my God, Mark, calm down. And he took him off, and it was like, but that chick was so unapologetic and was just so adamant about being rude to this guy. I mean, everybody that's there at the VA hospital getting help is there because they served. We're not there because, we want to be there. Nobody wants to go to the VA hospital for fun, you know. They're going because there's something wrong with them for fucking going down range and putting their life on the line. But this lady who's never done anything is going to be a bitch to them. Like, what is that about? Who allows that in the government to sit back and let these people run this with more red tape and bureaucracy than need be? That's why I said I laugh whenever people say, government should provide health care. I'm like, I'll give you a picture of it. Let's go to the
Mhm.
VA and let's go see what
Yeah.
free government healthcare looks like, or at least healthcare run by our government. It's a joke.
So I've had people from both inside the VA and outside trying to get in, like government contractors. I was a consultant with a company for a while. This guy worked civilian world, worked for, he would go and help big hospitals. He had worked with, there's like, he had worked with one third of the nation's hospitals. He would go in there and help them save money. Like, hey, do you really need two Coke machines right here? You could have one on this floor, one on that floor. It's going to save you some money. You know what I mean? And they would take a percentage of that savings and pay it to the consultant. Well, in the civilian world, you can talk to the C-suite of a hospital, and it could be like here in Indiana. Geez, here in Indiana, we've got college level like IU, so Indiana University, and we've got four hospitals minimum. You got IU North, IU East, IU West, etc. Right? So you've got you could go talk to like one person or one C-suite and get into the bloodstream of that organization and save that organization so that organization could be better for its people. That's good. That's the free market. So we start talking about could we get into the VA system? And this guy had already worked with like a prison in California somewhere. So he's like, hey, it took a while to get into the prison, but we finally got into it. But he said, Albert, the reason why I'm hiring you and having you help me is to get into the VA and see if we can get in there. And then we get a conference call with some folks who had already been within the VA system as far as contracting, and they said, okay, we hear your business model of you can talk to one C-suite and work with an entire bloodstream of healthcare. However, negative, however, every not just every hospital, but every VA floor, every room, like when you walk in, that may be you may be on one floor, but it could be whatever pediatrics or some shit like that over here on the right, and it could be like some kind of other cancer shit on the left, right? So every room, every wing has red tape. Every room. You can't touch this room to help people without getting through the red tape of that room. That's how fucked up the VA system is. And I'm telling you, this is from somebody, again, who I've got people outside the VA who had earned, saved millions and billions of dollars for big hospitals so that those big hospitals could help put that money into helping their community. And then I talked to the internal VA people. I also have a buddy of mine that worked in the VA hospital here in Indianapolis for over a decade as a continuous improvement consultant, and I'd applied for that job when I got out of the army, and he was one of the board members or one of the members that boarded me or interviewed me, and he even told me, he's like, "You don't want this job." He said, "Albert, you're too much of a get it done guy to work in a place like this." And he finally explained to me that he'd been there 10 plus years, and he said, "Albert, I'm not telling you that nothing gets done, but don't get cut open here. Don't ever go to a VA hospital and get fucking cut open." And I'll just leave it at that.
I know a
And
friend of mine is a nurse practitioner, and she's
mm,
a former Marine. She thought about working for the VA because she wanted to, like, fix the problem and be part of the solution and not be part of the problem. And people did the same thing to her. They turned her away from it and said, "You don't want this. The red
yeah,
tape will crush you." So, like, even with the best intentions, there's a lot of doctors there. There's a lot of PAs and nurse practitioners there that have the best intentions, but the system doesn't allow them to do what they want to do to make it better for the veterans, which is just seems insane.
and that's when you realize that there are, let's just draw a line. There are biblically good people and there are biblically evil people. We now know that. And those people will put themselves out in front. But like biblically good people will be usually, oh, let me kind of stand back and observe and evaluate the well, should I stick my finger in this pie that's gonna help my family, or should I stick this finger in this pie that's gonna fuck my family short term, that sort of thing. So you have to like bounce. But the evil people just go whatever they want, which is usually more money or more power. That's what they go off of. That's what that woman, like you're talking about, that there's people, human beings are the ones who make decisions. They're human beings that decide to work within a system that allows them to be dickheads to everybody. And they're just evil fucking people, man. And that just, you can't convince them. I've got a horrible ex-wife who is still that way after 10 plus years of us being apart. I now have custody of my son, and not going to go too deep into it, but like nothing has fucking changed. Well, I have a line because of people like that. That people are who they are because they say what they say and do what they do. And you can put that in any order, but they just don't fucking change. And when you look back on months, years, or decades of a person, they're either going to have a stack of good behind them, like me and my staff, or they're going to have a stack of shit behind them. And the good people aren't perfect. Well, we're never saying we're perfect, but like I say to my staff and my clients and my family, I'm not aiming, I'm not perfect. I'm aiming up that high, but like, just be better. Do something good every single day, and it stacks up in a positive way for people to see. And that's
Yeah.
why I've been able to work with the people I have in such a short period of time, and without Tim even knowing who I am yet. So uh,
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about, like what solutions can we come up with, and if when it comes to the big picture and big government and stuff like that, I don't have answers. I would love to be able to do that. I just don't have the ability or the means.
mhm.
However, at my level, after being an executive for a little bit and seeing how DoD contracts work, and I was tired of it. And I wanted to do something that made me happy, and I was going to be selfish. At the same time, how can I give back? So, I went into, teaching what I love, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Muay Thai.
Yeah, tell us about
And
how that happened. Go ahead, take that
yeah,
further.
so yeah, man, I've been a guy. I wrestled since I was in middle school. Um, Wrestled in high school, wrestled for the Army. I was at Fort Carson for a little bit.
Really? Okay, nice.
Um, did the Greco-Roman thing with the All Army team. Um, but at some point I decided to get into jujitsu like 15, 16 years ago. Fought MMA for a little bit. I was sponsored by Ranger Up for one of my fights.
Really nice.
And I really love doing, martial arts. And it was one of the things that keeps me sane. And I realized what a big help it was for my mental health. And when I finally got had enough of the corporate life, don't get me wrong, I had money and it was nice. It was nice to be able to have fuck you money because that's what I had, as an executive and working for some of the companies I got to work for. I got to have fuck you money. and it was nice, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't affecting change. I was trying to find people that had clearances to go work these shitty jobs at JSOC or, some other job over in Colorado that nobody wants to do in a skiff that nobody wants to work in. It was just like, this is horrible. This isn't what I want to do. Um, you know, so I opened up my own business, put my money where my mouth is. And, you know, even though it's small, I get to affect a small community here in Ocean View in Norfolk that 90% of my students are either active duty Navy or they're formerly in the military, Marines, Army, Air Force, Coast Guard. Um, and they all, I've been able to create like a good culture, a good positive vibe, a tribe. And I realize that's what I mean. I've got guys that you can tell they struggle, and they're just young, active duty sailors that, they just need, like somebody there to be like, hey man, you're okay, you're part of our team, and that makes a big deal in their mental health. I joined an organization called We Defy, which allows wounded combat vets to come in and train for free.
Nice.
Um, and that's one that I strongly believe in because I mean these are guys that are it's all they have left, and me and my mentor, Mr. Ron Maines, who's he's a retired Navy EOD, he tells everybody all the time, be careful, when you're in here rolling on the mats, because if you hurt that vet, you know, this is his only thing that keeps him from, suck starting a shotgun. Don't take it away from him because you're just trying to get a submission, and you're trying to win and feel good about yourself. And I believe in that because it is. I mean, whenever I've been injured, dude, my mental health goes in the tank because I can't be on the mats and I can't work out. I can't get that anxiety out. I don't have, you don't feel connected. Uh, but with opening the school, I tell all these guys, come on in. I give them a discount. It's still a business,
Yep.
but they get that sense of camaraderie. They get that sense of tribe, family. And again, with 90% of us being military, I mean, everybody gets each other, and it's really nice. It's something that I'm trying to maintain and not lose. As we grow, I'm like, I'm not going to lose face. I'm not going to lose the sight of the mission, which is, serving my community. My community here is like, again, it's right outside Naval Station Norfolk. So I don't know Navy guys that well, but military is still military. You know what I mean? Um, I have a big coin case that sits right in the lobby, and I'm suddenly littered with Chiefs coins because of all the E7s that have come in and given me their Chiefs coins and stuff to add to the collection, and the proud to say, hey, I want to see that up in here, because of all the things that you do for us. Um, and if that's like the little thing I can do to keep some of these guys, give them something positive to work with, to work for, something that help their mental health, then that's the little thing I can give back, and it helps keep me sane. It lets me do something I love, and I still get to be around those guys. You know what I mean? Like they're not the dudes that I used to work with, which were some pipe hitters and just, you know, they did we did what we did, and I still see some of them every now and again, but it's not the same. Um, out in the civilian world, and at least having some of these guys, these young sailors and airmen that come to my gym. I mean, it's nice, and the camaraderie is fantastic, and I see it in posts where people will write, like, I'm so glad I found Ocean View Martial Arts, and Professor Tim, showing, helping me unlock new things I didn't know about myself. And I'm like, well, that's fantastic. That's the whole reason I do it. I don't make a ton of money on this at all. I mean, I think this year might be the first year I turn a profit. You know,
How long have you been open?
this June will be 2 years.
Okay, nice. Good. Well, that brings me to another point of what we're aiming for too. Is a lot more collaborations and joint ventures, as one may call it, partnerships, that kind of thing. So, um, something that we're doing is part of fulfillment. Like I'm here to help my veterans get their money, and I'm great at it. But one of my I don't say it keeps me up at night, but one of the things that gives me heartburn every day is like I feel like I'm not helping enough veterans. So that's why I'm doing podcasts and getting more content out there. So when we say content so much, it'll probably make you sick. But we're really pushing to have joint ventures together. So if it's right or wrong, you know, right now is not the decision. But like there's like I already showed you, they're not a sponsor of ours, but like Horse Soldier bourbon, I like it, and I don't care if anybody else likes it. I like it,
Yeah.
and and the flying around and being in airplanes and cigars and we're talking about making kits as well. So I think you'll get a kick out of this. So we're gonna create these like apparel kits of like we've got hats and beanies and sweatshirts and stuff like that. Uh, you'll dig this, man. So we got some ranger panties here too. So got some.
Hey, you know the first rule of Ranger panties, right?
What is it?
If you
You gotta cut
find
the
a
lining
pair
off.
if you
Yeah.
find a pair that fits, you got to go a size smaller.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then do some sit-ups with your pal, right? That really that you've never been a buddy. Yeah, hold my feet for me. But yeah, just stuff like that. We're talking about doing some get fit kits. Like for example, I just registered yesterday for like five runs over the spring heading into May. And again, I live here in Indianapolis, so the Indy 500 is a big thing in May. And I say big thing; it's an entire fucking month of May. And so they've got a race at the early May, the mini marathon. And so
But
we're doing some other races, and I was running a kilt, so I ordered some kilts yesterday, and there's a beer run in March, stuff like that, just to so I want to have more partnerships and stuff like that with folks like Tim, but also bigger organizations like maybe Team RWB, Red, White, and Blue. There's another one that Tim needs to look into, which is merging veterans and players. So if you haven't seen this, look it up. I'm not connected with them yet, other than I've had a chat with one of their people, but look it up. If you're a wrestling fan and anything sports fan, it's and a veteran fan, it's all these high caliber wrestlers, fighters, all these people who had the limelight on them, and then the light went out,
mm,
and now they're going, "Oh shit, what do I do for the next stages of my life?" So you got NFL people, special operators, even dare I say Joe Average, right? So, but they get together and like we all know, when you do something fitness together, it gives you that camaraderie, and so they're popping up all over the place. So I've not made a straight connection with them yet, but we'd like to and have that be able to be up on our website and on their website, that kind of thing. And that way, when they're getting fit, when anybody's getting fit, maybe you get some of our stuff, maybe you get some of Tim's stuff, maybe you get some of merging veterans and players stuff and that kind of thing. Because I've got clients all around the world, and when those guys and gals are flying something or running, gunning, or something over in UAE or Qatar or some shit like that, or in like Tim said, a skip in Denver that nobody wants to go to or some shit. But I got clients all over the place, and I just want to help them outside of just making money for them, and and take them to the next stage of their life, which is mostly getting them fit, and not just. I know Tim's mentioned mental health many times, but it's not their entire health, the best of their ability. They may not be able to run all over the place because they've been blown up or old or whatever, but at least be around people run around. That's pretty fun. Just us when us veterans are around each other, it looks like puppy videos. We may walk around smoke, right? But then you start talking to each other, and then it turns into fucking puppy videos. Oh my god, you're with so and so with the thing, and then I was with the thing, and then especially pilots with all our fucking hand gestures. So we turn into fucking puppy videos pretty fast.
I know my family. I'd run into somebody somewhere, and we just start talking. Like, did you know him? Like, never met him in my life, but
Yeah,
he was in
yeah,
such and such a unit, and
yeah,
But I was gonna say since you had talked about the horse soldier whiskey,
yeah. Mhm.
here's one you should look at. It's called Heritage.
Okay.
They made the Salute to Special Operations.
Hmm.
They make a bunch of different ones. So I bought this one because obviously it was for use of sock.
Mhm.
They also made one for First Group, and I think they've made one for a couple of other SF units, like
Nice.
special bourbons.
Now we got it on
They
camera,
were
so we know.
commemorative. Um, yeah, and that one, I mean, the salute to soft one was pretty cool. They came with a print, and on the bottom of the print it said "Send me," and I knew exactly where that they were taking that from because when I retired, my unit gave me a big wooden American flag plaque with our crest and the stars, and then on the bottom, it had a little inscription from Isaiah that said, the Lord said, "Who will I send? Who will go?" And it says, "Send me, Lord." That was on everything that unit gave out, was the whole send me,
Nice.
and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like these guys really, they knew what they're doing when they put together that print in this bottle. Again, they always do something special for special operations community, and they do special forces stuff. For different bourbons that they put out. They're out of Washington State. They're called Heritage. So
Yeah, we'll look into them too.
I think it's cool because they always give back. They give back to those different units as well. So to like the Special Operations Fund.
Yeah, and we just started being again a lot more intentional with that, and because we went through a lot of growth period over the winter break, and now we're hitting 2024 even harder with planning out things. What's 6 months out? What's a year out? What's 2 years, 5 years? Now that we are where we are, who can we legitimately cross promote and cross pollinate with, and have other events, stuff like that with? So, because like I said, I'll fly down to Nashville for Quad A, and in Indianapolis. I can fly up to Wisconsin or whatever for other things that are fixed wing this, or I've got clients who are Top Gun, I've got clients who are Air Force One, Marine One pilots, all that kind of shit. So like anything at the high level echelons of something, I want to be there in some way, shape, or form. So just want to but you and I, Tim, can talk about that on other subsequent calls after this, of course.
Yeah.
But good shit, man. We're in our second hour. What other stories or topics do you have that you want to chat about that maybe I haven't thought of?
I don't know. I know we definitely covered the myriad of different topics. Everything from VA to some politics and back around to some bourbon.
Circle back around, back to the good stuff.
Yeah, all the way around. But I just think it's cool. What you're doing, and the other people like us that try to give back to our other brothers and sisters, and
Mm,
trying to navigate the VA. I can imagine that's difficult. So
difficult. It's the gross thing is it's fucking impossible. It's impossible. And that's again the gross thing. I don't want to be here. I don't want Destiny to be here. I don't want my clients to be here. I want everybody to get that check and fucking move out. But I can't. I'm not here to change a system. I'm here to just get Tim his money and so on and so on.
it reminds me. Have you ever seen that the movie The Incredibles? And
Yeah.
when Mr. Incredible's talking to the old lady, and he's like, I can't advise you to do this, or go see to this person, and go to this person.
Right down that
And then
way. That's what I feel like.
and then
Yeah.
like his boss comes over and he goes, your clients seem to be experts, at navigating the red tape. They're piercing the bureaucracy, and
That actually is exactly true. Yep. Tell my clients, I can't tell you what to do, but go that way and this way. When you see somebody, that's the person you're looking for. When you see a form, that's the person. That's the form you're looking
I think it's sad that there are people who have made livings out of helping veterans navigate the
for. Mhm.
process. That it's so complex that you have to have outside help. Somebody who all they do is study the bureaucracy. There's a lady who lives down the street from me here who works with a lawyer, and their whole thing is that they work with veterans to increase their rating.
Well, I'll say it this way: they do it wrong. They do it wrong. So I'm a consultant, so I have to stay in my lane, which is I'm not a representative, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant. So I show my clients where their money is, and they hire me to be their consultant for life. But my goal is to get them as much of their money in 2 years, which is theirs and has been theirs the whole fucking time.
Mhm.
And so, I'm a general contractor, so I connect with law firm whatever or whomever that the client needs, but making sure that that's done in the right order. And most things can't be, you can't like do two things at once most times with the government. Sometimes you can, but like have an appeal and a claim going on at the same time, that kind of stuff. But that's where we navigate that. But like I said, the government is the one who created this rotisserie of fuckery. I can't think of anything that makes sense other than saying that, because that's just been my experience. 5 years worth of working with special operators, and the government just is all the way up to fucking 2 and 3 star generals. What the fuck? You're telling me that a 2 star Green Beret can't go knock on a door in DC and go, "Hey man, what the fuck, man?" He had to come to me. that's I don't know. It's weird, and I'm happy to have helped him. But at the same time, it's like, what the fuck is going on with the government to where I, Albert, have to help a 2-star fucking Green Beret get his VA money? Like, how
Yeah,
fucking
that's crazy.
fucking weird is that?
But I mean, I've seen it. I mean, everybody's not as when you're in, and you can get kind of what I call scope locked into what you're doing every day, and you're not thinking about it, and you're hard charging to the last day, and you're not prepared for civilian life when you get out. I mean, I saw that firsthand. I was more ready than most, and I was working at a company, and I was interviewing people to be an account rep, effectively a salesman. And
Mhm.
one of the guys that I hired was a retired full-bird colonel, and he worked for me. I was like, I'm this retired E7
Yeah. That's a
because he just wasn't
yeah.
ready. Yeah, that was crazy. And when I asked him about his rating and stuff, he's like, "Ah, well, I didn't do anything. I did this and that. I got like maybe 50%." And I'm like, "Oh my God, man, you should be getting so much more." And
It is funny that O6s are the I'm gonna lovingly call them my problem children because they they do some of the weirdest shit. Anytime that something weird happens, I'm like, you're an O6, aren't you? Doesn't seem to
mm,
happen with O5s. I got some, kooky people, and some people do have legit brain rattle damage, that kind of stuff. So their brain's not all there. But the O6 is the ones who intentionally do weird shit. And just I've got so many when there's comes to do's and don'ts, the don't list, it's because of O6 did it. So we really put
because of those six did it.
but yeah.
That's kind of funny. I don't know if you ever remember looking online. There was some enlisted soldier put a list of 200 and some odd things he couldn't do. It was called the Skippy Can't Do list.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Do you remember that?
I've heard of it, but yeah, go on for those who haven't heard it.
Oh God, no! It was hilarious. It was all because of things that he told that he wasn't allowed to do, or he saw somebody else do it.
Yeah.
It was like a list of like completely hilarious things. Like when you go to the MP checkpoint, you shouldn't wave at them and say, you don't need to see our IDs. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know,
It's so funny.
you can't sing cadences with "We all got jack boots now" or something like.
You
But
know when I noticed that
no,
this is gonna sound weird, but when I here's the first time I remember the government doing dumb shit was when I was in college and the ACUs came out. It had fucking Velcro on it. That's when we went from nice, nice uniform with buttons, nice
the little
silent button
BDUs, yeah.
to fucking everything was making noise. Oh my god, light and noise discipline, huh? I guess that's out.
That's one of those things when I mean, that was one of the things I realized when I was in USERAC and I was in recruiting command, is you realize how far leadership can get away from the army. Like the people who made the decision on that uniform must have been so far detached from the big army that they sat back and go, "Oh, yeah, this seems like a good idea." Like, what? What makes you think that's a good idea? Because you're just too far removed now. You've been removed for so long that that's a good idea. This pattern matches nothing.
Well, and a lot of us who flew Medevac were former infantry dudes and stuff like that. So imagine flying into they change names all the time, but like the places in Afghanistan, the different villages and different fobs, and you look up at like fucking Restrepo, and you're down in the valley, and there's nothing but mountain. Like I was in the Cornwall Valley flying up there and shit, and you just it wasn't looking up like this; it was looking up like this. Like there's
Mhm.
just they did great in the movie with Orlando Bloom and Clint Eastwood's son and The Outpost. So that really does show what it looks like from down there. And I flew into those places and just like, what the fuck, man? Being an infantry dude and looking up and going, oh my God, everybody here can see me. All those people can. It was, I don't know if you ever had foot on the ground in those places, but fuck, man. It is when you put boots on ground there, and I feel really bad for the people who were there. It had to have been for them especially, this is just a bad idea, right? When you're it's like looking at a train coming at you or a fucking steamroller going so slow, but yet you're still just like what was that movie? The what was it? Austin Powers when he's like, no, steamroller's like half a mile away,
Yeah.
no, and just you're waiting for that motherfucker to hit you, and that just had to have been how those guys felt every fucking minute of their deployment, man. And I'm saying that to say this: I was at Jalalabat or Jaff, so I was at Jaff or JBAT or whatever the fuck else you want to call it. So I was at Jaff for a long time, or for half my deployment, then went out to Shank and Ghazni, and so I was a lot of places far from the flagpole and did stuff far from the flagpole. But I was in those places that people were, and I felt so horrible for them. I was happy to go in there and help, dare I say, sweep up the mess. But like, fuck, man, it's incredible that these people had to sit there every single minute of their deployment, their combat time, and have fucking weapons on them, 24 motherfucking 7. Feel bad for them.
Oh yeah,
But
those
yeah,
the
what
guys at the corn gall were that's that's insane. So no, I understand. Grateful
so
I wasn't one of those units, but
one of my warrants, he went out and he did a while I was there, like I told Tim before we started recording this, that so since I was a medical service corps officer, I couldn't fly air assaults and that kind of thing, and ash and trash, I could only fly medevac. But my warrant officers were able to do transfer and stuff, and they do that a lot during combat time, just to give those guys a break or a different perspective, maybe you want to call it that. And so one of my warrants, he went and flew a ash and trash with the air assault dudes, and they went into the Korengal middle of the day, just delivering mail. And just like in, God, what was that? We Were Soldiers. Remember that? Where
yeah,
fuck, the helicopter's here, front of it, rear of it. My I don't call him buddy, but my pilot, he's right here, and they're just and they're fucking PTs with the vests on and shit like that, and they're grabbing the boxes off and stuff. And as one guy's right here in the grabbing boxes, he gets fucking sniped in the back, and just like in the fucking movies, man, just like fell forwards into the aircraft. And my pilot came back just fucking rattled, man. I mean, you know that look. Just can I say shell shock? Like it. I hate when people say you. I fucking saw it. I fucking saw it. I saw him have his soul sucked out of his fucking body because he saw somebody get shot, and it was in a no-win war, no-win fucking location. That poor bastard who got fucking shot in the back was in a no-win situation. My pilot was in a no-win situation, and therefore I was, and we were all fucking fucked. So that's why it was not. When people go, "Oh, you did 10 years. You didn't want to stick out the rest of the 10." Fuck me. But have you been to Korengal Valley? Have you seen what that fucking looks like? I have, and I'm
yeah,
happy to have helped, but like I'm not going to be part of going back over there and let somebody fucking have me out there as a fucking pincushion. No thanks.
yeah. I mean, when you've seen too much, you've seen too much. And I do know what that feels like. To see somebody, you know, the light goes out in front of you. I mean, that's not a good feeling. Um, no, definitely not. I mean, I know talked a little bit about mental health, and I know that for me, I don't sit back and struggle with the things that I did or whatnot. It's more the fact that I made it, and survivor's guilt's a very real thing. And that's one of those things that I always push to other guys that always feel like that, like me, like they don't feel like they deserve to come back, like they wish their buddy had, but my message to them was always the same of, you know, now that you are back, you need to, honor them by living your best life. They don't want you to sit and drown in a bottle of something and, feel bad, you know, like they didn't make it, but you know what? You did. for whatever reason. So, honor them by living your best life. Don't feel guilty for it. 'Cause that's one of the hardest lessons to learn for those of us that went to combat and saw, some truly evil shit.
It's gonna sound weird, but we had during my years of service from '98 to 2014, we had everybody survived the deployment that I went on in the entire fucking brigade, which is a giant amount of people. Everybody survived that. Now, other people on the ground that were supporting didn't. I did not have. I guess I'd say I'm very fortunate, knocking on wood here, that all the people I went with came back with us, and we did not have a death on our tour from our teams or anything. And so I don't have that like one to one. My buddy died conversation. I do have when I got out two people who helped me get to where I am with being 100% mentoring me and guiding me. Both two of these guys, one committed suicide and one died of during COVID, and I'm not sure what he died of, but it wasn't COVID, but something. And so two people who were happy to help veterans and that sort of thing are not here anymore. And the reality of life is that our GWAT brothers and sisters, there's not more of us. There's only fewer of us. And I think Tim and I are on the same page of, although we're not talking about suicide prevention and that sort of thing, we are talking about if I can make you fulfilled, if I can make you healthy, you're not going to worry about the demons,
Yeah.
So that's I think that's where Tim and I are joining forces in spirit of we're saying, hey, we don't want to. If you call it, God damn man, I got a letter from the VA the other day, and it's any fucking envelope that you get from the VA. I wish I had this in front of me because I just saw it yesterday. I could go downstairs and grab it. But anytime you get a letter from the VA, what's it say on the front? VA crisis. Call the fucking don't kill yourself line.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on. I think honestly, the government's trying to get us to shoot ourselves so that we take ourselves off the fucking battlefield. So please, for the love of God, don't do that. Get fucking connected. I'm not saying that we're going to be able to kiss away your boo boos, but I got to tell you, if you can go to Tim and roll and fucking play with his people, you're going to be a hell of a lot better off. If you
Mhm.
can have a phone call with me and I can help you get more of your money in your pocket so that you can stop worrying about blah, blah, blah and thinking about spending your last dollars on bullets, don't. Like, just, there's more to live for. We're not here to kiss away your boo boos. We need you. We need you to be the leader because how many stories and books have been read and written about, or movies or whatever, about somebody who is out there fucking at the bottom and they bounced up and they became somebody for somebody else. I've got kids
Mhm.
here to be here for somebody else. I don't know what level of pain you got, emotionally or whatever. I know I deal with a lot of betrayal from the fucking government, so that's always on our plate. But like, I don't have physical pain, so I don't understand that to that level. I've had injuries that I thought, oh God, if this lasts longer than days or weeks, I'm going to be fucked. I don't know what to do because I don't like medicine. But it thankfully went away. But I mean, I'm a faithful man. My only fear is not doing what God wants me to do. So I don't live in fear, even in combat. I didn't live in fear. I don't live in fear now because if I get fucking ousted by the fucking Hillary Clinton mafia, whatever, then everybody knows that what I said was fucking true. So I don't give a shit, and I'm going to
Mhm.
have Hillary can have a flaming thorn up her ass. I don't give a shit. But like, I don't live in fear. I hope you guys don't either. I hope you live in faith, and that's part of our kits as well, is to be fit with your family and your fitness, of course, and your faith, and it keeps going on with finances and other things. So that's why I call it a fulfilled veteran. And so yeah, I just wanted to bring that back to a positive and hand it over to Tim on your thoughts on that too.
And I mean, I'm right there with you. That's why I do what I do. I want to keep guys feeling like they're connected, part of a tribe, part of something bigger, something more, where they can come and they can let out and just, there's really something to be said about physical exercise and getting rid of stress and anxiety and lowering your depression. And, all of those things. I mean, I don't want to see any more buddies, you know, off themselves. I'd rather them just be like, hey, I'm having a hard day. Well, come on, man, let's come in here and roll.
Yep.
Because I know, I mean, it's not for everybody, but for me, it is. Because I tell people all the time, if someone is trying to strangle you, it's hard to focus on other issues.
Yep.
You have no choice but to focus on that. And in that moment, you realize, all right, I was able to put those things away. And okay, I'm okay. And that's, kind of how I focus on that and focus on the guys that come in and be like, all right, hey, welcome, and don't judge. I don't care what you've gone through, what you have done or what you haven't, because the worst thing you've ever gone through in your life, well, that currently is the worst thing that's ever gone through in your life, even if it's something small, you know, everybody lives life a little bit different. So, I just try to help those guys out any way I can. Same thing with any veterans that come in through my door, which I get quite a bit. So,
Yeah.
just if I can help give them community and tribe, that's huge. I got a lot of guys, even after they, if the financial reasons, whatever, they can't come back, they stay in contact. 'Cause I tell them, hey, I'm still your friend. If you need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
So
That's good stuff, man. Well, I think we can come to a close on that too, because that's a good point that I think Tim would agree with me. We're here because we want to help you. We're going through. We've already been through some hard stuff, divorces and all that kind of stuff, life, death, and everything in between. And we're here to help you guys out. And it's by
mhm.
being together, part of a tribe, and by knowing each other and knowing that not everybody's perfect, but we're here to be better and here to help somebody and be a you know, rolling buddy and sounding board. And because we're all going through stuff, we're all going to go through stuff. Life continues, and you're here because people need you to be here, and we love you for that. So, uh, Tim, I'll definitely make sure that Destiny gets your business info so we can put that in the description. So that way, for folks watching this on YouTube and uh, Rumble and others, make sure you do like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. Jump on my website, Tim. If he's got a website, we'll put that in the description. And so yeah, we'll make sure that Destiny has that in there. And follow up with Tim. Go roll with him. Don't try to hurt his veterans. Nobody gives a shit how strong. We're there for fitness and fun, not emergency
Yeah.
room visit and shit like that. So, any other statements from me, Tim?
No, man. Thanks for having me on your show.
Pleasure, definitely. My pleasure. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Tim, we'll talk to you again soon, brother.